Hi everyone, welcome to Saturday Stamping, or Stamping Saturday, I forget how I labeled it. Tips, techniques, and more. Well, I guess today will be the more because we're just going to make two cards together, and if I think of tips along the way, I'll tell you. Just a little aside, the last 2 weeks have been pretty hard, especially the last few days, and today is the day after my mother's service, and you know how the calm comes after the storm? Well, I feel like that. I feel like really completely drained. Anyway, I persevered and I did get some things ready to make with you. So we're going to be using the Birds and Branches stamp bundle, the bundle, dies and stamps, and we'll make two different cards. And we're also going to use this greenery embossing folder. We're going to use this one that has the leaves going up and down. And we're going to use a leftover piece of Flowers for Every Season paper, which has the greens on it. And I think that is what I used on a different card before, and I had two pieces of, oops, and I just tore one, of this size. So, can you tell I die cut branches? There's the other piece, I just tore it, so that's going in the trash. Anyway, so let me bring it out and show you what I've started. So here we have a piece of thick Whisper White, and I also had this piece. Now actually I think this went along the bottom, but we're going to put it in here so that it shows through here. We're going to do that first. Actually, let me get my glue, and we'll use Tombow just because I'm comfortable with that right now, and it holds good and all that jazz. So yeah, so, and then I cut a piece of card 5 1/4. You could go, no, I'm sorry, I cut it 5 1/2 by, I believe, 3 1/2, which is as a 3 1/4 maybe, which is as wide as, yeah. The embossing folder is about that wide. Let me just get that again. I'm sorry. It's like 3 3/8, 1 2 3/8. So we're going with 3 1/4 wide, and you just put it in. I use Just Jade and ran it through, so we have leaves coming down up here and also here, and we're going to go ahead and glue that down as well. And there's not really a trick to that other than cut your paper to about the right size, and it'll look nicer for this particular one because these are smaller. They won't cover your whole card front. Now this is, I'm going to turn this over and go like this because this is embossed. I want to make sure that glue holds on there good. Yeah, I got some coming out there. So there we go. Now this actually is the border die that's included in the set. And when you do that, score your card first, open it back up, put this on, and you will not be able to turn this sideways in a Big Shot or whatever larger machine you have, unless you have maybe one that has, you know, holds 8 1/2 by 11 paper. But you're going to put it as close to the edge of your card as you can without going over, and use a sticky note or something and tape it down, and these ends will stick out about 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch on the ends, and then you run it through that way. And I go back and forth, back and forth, so 4 times through the machine, basically 2 back and forth, and it comes out beautifully. It just pops right out. So there's a tip. Go a few more times and it'll pop out. And let me get my glue eraser, because now that I've got glue on my hands, of course it's getting on the card, right? I know this is the back, but I still care. I still care about the back too. Maybe a little there. Okay. So that's what I did there, and then so that way this nice greenery piece shows through from the flowers for every occasion. So then I took this piece, and I had those two pieces of scrap, and I die cut the leaves, and it's tone on tone, but with a little bit of now I got them stuck together. Oh my goodness, we're having a bad storm. So I'm gonna kind of put them like this here, about like that, and we're gonna glue them down, but I'm gonna use a fine tip glue. I did make up with the Stampin' Up fine tip glue as well, but I don't have it right handy here, so I'm going to use this one. But you can also sponge your glue on, or if I was really thinking, I should have used the adhesive sheets. I'm loving them. The Stampin' Up has the new adhesive sheets. So let's see, we'll put that about there. And so that would be another tip. Before you start, cut a piece of adhesive sheet and apply it to the back of your paper, and it would work magnificently. And in case you don't know what I'm talking about, these are the new adhesive sheets. They come in 6 by 12. They're number 152334. 152334. They would be perfect for doing this. So you don't have to worry about doing little fine tip glue and things. Okay. Let me see if I can get this on the way I want it. I want it to go sort of the other direction. There we go. And I'm having to hold it down a little bit because it's gluing onto embossed areas. Okay, so that's that. Then we went with the little birdies. Let me put this away. Now, I will tell you that when you stamp the birds, I shouldn't say birdies, like a little kid here. These are two-tone. Actually, the wing is too, which I didn't realize till just now. There are two wings. But I always stamp the larger piece first because it gives me more area to see where to put this one. So we'll go ahead and do that, but I've done it already. I may. No, I won't. Let me just get a scrap here, and we'll try it together. Okay? We will try it together because that's what Saturday stamping is. And what I used on this particular bird, and we may do the wing too. Let me pull that wing out because I want to make sure I get the right one. I believe that would be this one. Straight one. Leave that out. Okay. Let's just, will that fit on there? Yep. Okay. I'm going to use Petal Pink full strength and crumb cake full strength. That's what I used on my bird. So we're going to do the background first. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's how I'm doing it because I tried it the other way and I had mixed success with doing it the other way. So let me close that up because that's pretty much it for that one. And then we'll open up our crumb cake and we're going to do the outer part. Now I have to get my head in here a little bit because I have to look down on it and try and get it lined up pretty well. And I'm not the best at this, but I'm trying. I'm learning. I'm lining up the beak and the tails as best I can. Pretty good, not bad, right? Then I'm gonna try taking this little wing and see what happens. It might just give more definition to this wing. We shall see. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, that's much better. So there you go. Actually, 3-step stamping. There's our birdie. And then we need a die to cut them out. And there are two, they face two different ways. So we're going to use this one. Now there's these little feet in here, and there are stamps. There's two, one going that way and one going the other way, and then two with the legs on. We're not going to use the ones with the legs on, and I've already done them in Mango Melody. Now the thing is, there will be little extra white area up here, or whatever color you stamp it on. That's intentional because you're going to need to put a glue dot or something on the back of the bird to hold them on. So that's why that white space is there. So there's another little tiny tip. So let me turn around and die cut because I like this bird better. I like that feather on there better. I'll be right with you. 1 second. So there we have our bird that we just did. And here's the one I did without the extra wing piece. And I definitely like the wing piece personally better than this one that has more. It just depends on what kind of bird you're looking for. This is an unknown type of bird. So I'm going to get my glue dots and put the little talons or whatever they're called on the bird a while. So I'm going to just put a glue dot on the front. I'm going to roll that just a little bit and put it right here on the front. You could use glue too, but I think that these hold better. And I'm just going to stick them sort of right in the middle like that and hope that it looks right. I don't know. Alright, so now I've done two nests, and what I did is I stamped cinnamon cider on cinnamon cider, and then I cut them out with the dies. And my tip for that is, you see this little pokey thing here? You want to, let me get the die. You want to line the die up so that that little pokey thing is right in there, the stamped image part of it. And this little indent area here is in where that is. And then the rest of it sort of falls into place. If you have that little pokey and this little indent lined up, it works pretty well. Otherwise, it tends to go either up too high or too low, and you get more brown area around it. This one, or whatever color, this one I didn't quite do it, and I ended up having to cut some off over here. This one ended up perfect. So that's tip number 2, I guess. So what we're going to do is glue this one down to hide those stems. Okay, and then we're going to put our little eggs in our bird, well, our eggs on. So let me glue that down. And then we'll pop the front part up on dimensionals. We're going to put our eggs in. Now these are on Balmy Blue. I stamped them in Balmy Blue, and that stamp is all together. This is one stamp right here, one stamp, but when you cut them out, and it's one die, but it cuts them all 3 separate. So you can put them however you want. That's nice that that's 100%, huh? Because I can show you that. You can cut them and put them however you want. You could put, you know, different shades of blue or whatever. So let's just lay this a little bit down like that and figure out where we're going to put everything. So we have our little A's here. They can kind of go, oops, they can kind of go lopsided. We want them peeking out. I'm sorry if my hands are in the way. And we'll put a lonely little guy over here, or gal, and then we'll just have our birdie sit right about here. And I think that's what we're going to do. So let me put little glue dots on the eggs to hold them in. There's one. And 2. And a third one. Maybe it's a robin's nest, huh? I guess. Okay, and then we're going to get dimensionals and pop the nest up, but down a little bit so it looks dimensional. My end screen. I hope you're all having a good start to your Saturday. We're just, my son and I are just literally drained, no energy today whatsoever. We've been through a little bit between trying to get the house cleaned up and things and trying to make sure we had a decent service for my mother, albeit just small and family, but we had a good day yesterday with family here. Family, yeah. So there's that, and then we'll bump our little bird up also. So let me get some dimensionals on him, or her. Her, I guess, since she's got eggs. Oops. I had a little butterfly on the back of here, but let me put a mini one down here. There we go. Okay. I reused my paper, so. And we'll just have it sit right on that branch like that. Now, I have a little strip of white paper, and actually it already had a flag cut on it. We're going to, because this Birds and Branches doesn't have any sentiments, oops, this is not the right one. We're going to use that one next. We're going to use the Blossoms in Bloom and just stamp hello. And let me put my pin in my glue. And we're going to stamp that in Just Jade to bring the Just Jade back in. And we'll put that right on the front of the nest. So I already have the hello on a little block. And we're going to stamp it over, well, it doesn't really matter. And I got it pretty good. It's a little bit floppy at the edge, but we're going with it. Pretty good. And that is just going to go right here. Maybe we should have had the bird hold it down lower, and we'll put some little gems on there. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to glue that down. Because the nest is already bumped up. I will also tell you that the two birds in the dies, these two, they do not fit over, and that's going to make a liar out of me, isn't it? No, it isn't, because this, when you cut it, is going to be going this way. This might go over the other, the bird going the other way. Oops. No, it won't. They're different, so they will not fit over. Let me show you what I mean. I cut one out in Misty Moonlight, or maybe Night of Navy, I'm not sure. But do you see that does not fit over that one? The tail's going up and this one's going back. So they are different birds. So you can use them, but they're not the same as the ones you stamp and die cut. These are for the ones you stamp with the little feet or talons, whatever they're called. And I'm missing one of my talons now. Did I forget to put it back? Oh gosh, I might have. And then these are different. Anyway, I'm belaboring that point too much. I lost my little die already. Good grief. Anyway, let's just get out some bling. We're going to use the dots, and we're going to use the putty part of our thing. I think I'm going to use the cinnamon cider, actually. I was going to use Just Jade, but I think because I stamped in Just Jade, we'll use the cinnamon cider. Just put two there, and we'll put one maybe over here. I think over there. Okay. I think that looks alright. I could glossy accent the bird's eye or something. Maybe what I'll do, where's my, I think later on when I find my fine tip glue, the clear glue that Stampin' Up has, I will put a little dot of that right where the bird's eye goes. And that is our card, our first card. So it's using some scraps that I had and the dies with some scraps and an embossing folder, and then stamping the bird's nest and things. So that's card number 1. The next one I want to share, I want to use the die, this die here. Now this die cuts out this part, but it does not cut the circle. And you probably may have already known that, but let me get what we're going to do with that one. So in case you didn't know that, here's how it cuts out. And I brought in another piece of paper from the Flowers for Every Occasion, and we're going to put that inside the card like that. And I'm trying to decide whether I want to bump it up or not. I don't think I want to. I'm going to keep this pretty simple. And then this is a piece of 1-inch bumblebee. We're going to stamp on here, and we're going to use the sentiment out of the lovely lovely you, and then we're going to use the lovely labels Pick-a-Punch, and we're going to use the flatter version this time. And what I picked to say is miles apart but still in my heart. I think I'm going to stamp that in, let's see, I don't know that I want to do it in Bumblebee. I think that's going to be too much. Let's hold off on that. I want to color these flowers first, actually. So before we do that, let me get a scrap. I want to add some color to the flowers with alcohol markers. Alright, shoot. Here we go. Hold that up. Okay, so we're going to pick Just Jade. Doing my tea. I'll be right back. Okay, we're going to use Just Jade. I'm going to start with the dark, I think. Yeah. I'm going to use the brush end. And, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to start with Cinnamon Cider. And, again, I'll use dark. And I'm just going to use the Cinnamon Cider on these, which maybe should be berries. But we're going to sort of make this look, I guess, autumny, right? Yeah, and maybe they should be green, but I'm going to make the leaves and the stems green. And let's see over here. And one up here. Okay. And then we'll do our green. And I'm just going to use dark. There is a little bit of embossing area on the leaves. You know, where the die was. Trying not to get on the Cinnamon Cider over here. You could color this however you want to, and use whatever paper you want to behind it. You could also turn it into a shaker card. I will likely do that, but not on this video. Perhaps on a Tuesday night in the future, or perhaps not. I don't know yet. You kind of don't exactly know what you're going to get with me, huh? But I apologize for this not having too many tips and tricks. But I enjoy your company. I hope you're enjoying the video. And I will see you Tuesday night also. but I won't tell you yet what we'll be doing there. Partly because I'm not exactly sure. I have an idea, but I'm not positive. And partly because I like to surprise you sometimes. Keep you on your toes. Keeps me on my toes. Alright, I'm going to take the other end, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's a line here where the die cut. And I'm actually going to just try and go around that with the nib end. Oh, that might not have been a good idea. Alright, well, we might be trying to cut a circle to cover that. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I might recommend you don't do that. But we'll see. Or use the Stampin' Up markers, because they don't bleed out as much like this. This does. The dye inks won't spread on the paper as much. Also, take your time. I'm kind of rushing. Now do your coloring first, because remember, if you're doing, and do it on scrap, because if you're doing alcohol markers, remember that they will bleed through your paper. So you don't want it to bleed through your designer paper. You want it to be dry first, right? So there's a tip too, in case you didn't know that. If you're using, and also lift it up, you can see little areas where you might have missed. Bleeding, bleeding. Well, it just makes it look more natural, right? Okay. I think I'm going to proceed with that, even though it's a little rough around the edges. So we'll just give that a second to dry. See, there's the inside. And then we will glue this down. Now it's going to be really hot pink. If you don't want that color, you could take a piece of bumblebee or something and cover it over. So there's that. And then we're going to do this. Now we could use this little bird here. We may just do that. But let's stamp on here. I think we will stamp with cinnamon cider. And see how it goes. And we're going to cut that in, so we want to stamp down this way more. And I chose the miles apart, but still in my heart. I think that's going to just fit on here, maybe. But you see what happened? I got a ridgy. Ridgy. We don't like ridgies. There's some extra rubber on these stamps, so be very careful. Or maybe don't press too hard on your stamp pad is another tip. See, learn with me. Do as I say, not as I do. Did you get that line as a kid? That one is much better. Much better. Alright, let's put this ink away, and let's put it through our die. We're using the flattish one, so this is 3/4 inch, and it goes, and there we go. And I think it's going to be way too long. It is. Alright, so let me cut this off a little bit, like about here. Sorry about that, should have checked that first. And then, this is the good side. Back into the flat. Oops, I didn't dump that other piece out. Oop. Okay. And we're going to put that here. I think I want a little more, or actually I can just snip a little bit off this end still. Please go straight, please go straight. There we go. That's more better. More better. And then this little bird can sit here. I can get his little talons too. But let's glue our paper on. Not the best card I ever did, but, and we're just going to go around the edges on this for now. And maybe in just a little bit further. On the bottom we can put a little more. And just a little in the corners. And maybe another strip over here. Okay. Well, I don't want glue coming out the front, obviously. Okay. Oops. Another way to do it. Well, you don't want to put it on the card base because your paper is shorter unless you have this exactly the same size as your card front. There we go. Yeah. All right. So now this is going to go down here. I think I'm going to get that other wing stamp and stamp his wing again if I can get it done. And this is not my favorite card. I think I would have chosen different colors maybe next time, but like I said, I'm kind of not. There we go. Not bad. A little dark. Maybe I stamped off. It might fade though, but it actually looks better with a little bit of dark there, I think. And I feel like we need something down here. I feel like we do. Maybe I have another scrap of paper. Let me just go like that. Or something. I think I'm going to cut this to 4 inches. Put it like that. And that might tie that other paper in. Let's try that. This is working with Deb on the fly. And we'll cut it down to about 1 1/4 inches. And see how that will work. Down here. Oh. Well, is that not 4? Oh. Should have made it 4 1/4. Yeah, I should have. Silly me. Oh well. I don't like that. Alright. Alright. Let's bump this up on here. Maybe up a little closer. Just feel like I have too much weight. I don't know. I'll come back. See you in a minute. Okay everyone, so here's what I ended up doing. And I tied some cinnamon cider ribbon around the card all the way. I tied a knot twice, and then I made a little bow. Which isn't perfect, but it's gonna do. And then here I had 2 strips of this paper left, but they were shorter than this. So what I did is they were both about 1/2 inch, and I see I have some glue again, which I'll get later. But anyway, I used the Seal Plus. I took those 2 strips and I put them through the punch as well. And I lined them up so they came up to the edge up here and just snailed them on so they actually meet in the middle of the yellow, the bumblebee piece. And then I just glued everything down. So that's what I did there to add a little more something something. Now we're going to do the bird. I already have him ready, but we're going to stamp his little talons, and then where these are, we're going to stamp and die cut 5 flowers. So let me get some Whisper White paper. Here we have some. And the first I'll do is his talons, and I'm going to just use crumb cake since that matches his little body instead of bringing in yet another color. And we'll do that here. Here we go. And then this, we're going to use Bumblebee and put Bumblebee flowers on those dots that we did in Cinnamon Cider. And that'll add dimension up there and a little texture and things. So I need 5 of these. And there's a die that goes with them. And I'm using scraps. Just have to make sure we'll be able to get the die around them. But there's only one die. There we go. So there we have that. So I will do that, and I will be right back, and we'll assemble that, and then we'll be done this card. Alright everyone, I have another tip for you. I re-stamped these little talons, but I have a tip on how to use the die. First of all, there are 2 of these, right? And you can see the long part is, one leg is longer than the other, okay? So you want the one that matches. And then you want to make sure, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, that the top of the leg, you can see through that little hole. Get it lined up good at the bottom, but make sure it's like not up here or something. You want to make sure the top of the leg lines up, and that you have this lined up pretty good too, and then slide it till the top of the leg shows through the little hole. Can you see that? Yeah. And that will make sure that you're going to get a good clean cut like this, because I did one before that and I didn't have that, and it was like all lopsided and everything. So line it up, make sure you can see the top of the little legs through the hole, and you're good to go. So, and then I did stamp out these flowers. Now here's another little thing. The flowers do not have a hole, so you can put a gem on, but if you wanted this center to show through, you would need like a maybe a 1/8. Let's try it. I have a 1/8 inch punch. I had decided, now Stampin' Up does not sell this anymore. This was theirs, but they no longer sell it. So I'm going to go ahead and punch a 1/8 inch circle punch. Hopefully. Hopefully get it off. There we go. And then that dot would show through. So if you want to do that, you can, but on the rest of them, I'm just going to put a gem of some kind, and I probably will on that one too. But let me go ahead and glue that down and get the bird on here with dimensionals, and then we'll be done this card. Okay, just gives it a little added dimension here. Right now, this one I didn't get lined up real good, so I'm going to actually just trim this up a little bit on the lines here. I don't like that much white showing, right? Oops, that's a little better. A little bit down here too. That was user error, not die error. We're just going to put these around on, now this one, it is a little white also, but there's 2 dots over here, and I'm going to put one on top of the other here. Like I may bump this one up on a dimensional actually. And I think a dimensional will just perfectly fit on them. Yep, regular size dimensional fits perfectly. So you could do that. Cover up some of that white. And I think we'll bump this one up as well, just to add a little dimension up here at the top, coming off the edge there. There we go. Let me get some of these scrap pieces away. Now I'm going to use a glue dot again to glue. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use glue because it's not a solid piece there. So we'll just use glue to put the talons, legs, whatever on the bird this time. And then we're going to bump the bird up on dimensionals. So I'll put a regular dimensional here, and then maybe some little ones up here and back here. Okay, now let's see where we're going to put them. And we're going to put them standing down here, I think. Yeah, standing like that. That covers up the flower. Maybe over this way a little bit. There we go. Okay, now I want to put some centers in here, and I'm thinking I might just use Just Jade on there, actually. So let's do that to bring in the Just Jade in the background. So yeah, I think I like that better than the brown showing through. Okay, there we go. And one more. And I think I'm going to take like an early espresso marker and just do his eye a little darker in there. Yep, I like that better too. Oops, that goes up here. And I actually feel like we need, maybe I'll put a Just Jade down here too. Just one here. One over here. And one up here. There. Now I think we're done. There's our card. Took us a while to get there, but we did it. So we got our little bird, the background, some flowers popped up. You could put another flower or two up here if you wanted to. Haven't done anything with the inside yet other than this. I could stamp another sentiment out of the Lovely You, but for now I'm going to leave that and call it a day. So those are my little tips. Let's see. First time using it. Line up the holes for the little feet. That these dies here are not the same as these. And let's see. Oh, and that this does not cut out a circle. It just cuts out, you know, in the paper. And how to line up this this edge on here. So yeah, you're learning with me, I'm learning with you. And oh, and the eggs are one stamp cut out 3 pieces. Now I watched somebody else and she did this branch, and these leaves apparently line up perfectly on the big and the little branch. So there's another tip, but I haven't tried it myself yet. So anyway, there we have our 2 cards. This one using the Blossoms in Bloom sentiments, and this one using the sentiment from Lovely You Cling Stamp Set. And the feature stamps and dies are the Birds and Branches bundle. And these are the other 2 that I use. So all wonderful stamp sets, and this one's a really pretty bundle, and I'll be doing more with that hopefully in the near future. All right, everyone, have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you again soon. Hugs, love, and peace.